This is a quick 90-minute dinner roll recipe for those nights where you just want to get some bread on the table as fast as possible. Start by measuring out your wheat berries. I'm using hard white wheat berries, and I'm putting that in my Nutrimill Classic. While that is milling, I'm going to measure out my water, honey, and oil. I like to do this while my grain is milling so that I can make this recipe as fast as possible. I'm now adding my flour to the water, honey, oil mixture, and I am purposely leaving out the salt and the yeast. Now it's time to mix these ingredients. The purpose of this step is to make sure that the flour is fully incorporated. This step took my KitchenaId 2 minutes, and the goal here is just to make sure that there's no dry flour, but we're not trying to develop gluten. We just want everything to be mixed so that we can let it sit and soak in for 10 minutes. I went ahead and stopped to scrape down the sides of my bowl to speed up the process. I usually wouldn't do this, but because I want this to be quick, I'm just scraping it down so that the flour can be incorporated just a little bit faster. So we're right at the end of the 2 minutes that it took my KitchenaId to fully incorporate the flour. Cover the dough with a damp cloth and allow it to rest for 10 minutes. While the dough is resting, I'm measuring out my salt and my yeast, and I just do this in the same bowl just to keep it simple. My dough has rested for 10 minutes, so I'm adding in my salt and my yeast, and I'm gonna go ahead and knead that for 10 minutes. I'm kneading on speed 2. As you can see, it starts to come together pretty quickly after adding in the salt and the yeast. Here you can see the progression of the dough. It's still sticking to the bottom, but the sides of the bowl have been cleaned. The dough is now no longer sticking to the bottom of the bowl, and you can see it's really starting to come together here, but we're going to go ahead and continue to knead for just a little bit longer. Now that it's been 10 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and stop my mixer, and I remove the dough hook, and I'm just going to take a damp cloth and cover it and let it rest for 10 minutes. I went ahead and put my mixer bowl in my oven with the light on, so that it can rest in a warm spot. Now it's time to get our dough out of the mixer bowl. It has not doubled in size or really risen much at all in that 10 minutes. That was just a 10-minute rest. So we're gonna get it out onto an oiled surface, and the dough is going to be a little bit sticky, and that's why we're oiling our countertops. So I'm going ahead and putting it into a nice neat ball so that I can divide it as best as possible. I'm not concerned here about it being exact. I'm just trying to work quickly to be able to get these rolls on the table by dinner time. I like to divide my dough into fourths and then divide each fourth into thirds, and that's how I get my 12 portions. Once I have my 12 portions, I make sure my surface is oiled, and I go ahead and start tucking them into balls. So I just tuck the corners in and I roll it on the table to form a nice tight ball. You want to create a lot of surface tension so that your rolls will rise nice and high. And I'm not being very particular here. I'm just eyeballing them to make them around the same size, but again, I'm just trying to move quickly, so I'm not gonna weigh anything. I'm just gonna eyeball it and do the best that I can. I'm putting these rolls in a 9x13 baking dish that I lined with parchment paper. And if some of the rolls feel a little too large, I just pinch off some dough and add it to some that look smaller than others. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect at this point, it just needs to be done. Here, I'm just feeling the remaining dough to see if they feel about the same weight, and just adjusting as I see fit and continuing to roll it out. Again, it's important to have a lightly oiled work surface to make it a lot easier to work with the dough. And I also oil my hands lightly as well. There's many ways that you can shape these into balls. I like to flatten it out and then pull the sides inward toward the middle and then flip it over and just roll it into a ball. But again, there's many ways that you can do this, but the important thing is just that you create surface tension so that your rolls can rise nicely in the oven. Now that I'm done shaping my rolls, I'm going to go ahead and cover my dough. It's important to keep the dough covered so that it does not dry out. It's time to let these rolls rise for 30 minutes in a warm place. I chose to let mine rise in the oven with the light on for 20 minutes and on top of my oven for 10 minutes as it preheated to 375. And I show the before picture. This is the rolls in the oven. This is after 20 minutes in the oven with the light on. And this is after 10 minutes on top of my oven as it preheated. I like to show this so you can see the progression of the rise. And here is the final product. These rolls were super soft and super delicious. The full recipe will be in the description down below. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. Thank you for watching.